this is another compact collection that we're going to be looking at, but it's not a DC one this time, it's actually Marvel. And this has come out obviously to boost recognition for the upcoming Spider-Man film Brand New Day. So this is very different to Marvel's current ongoing compact series, and I'm doing it with the inverted commas because it's not really compact, it's more, I'd say, digest size. It's like the size of the Invincible run from Image and also the IDW ones. So this is the normal Marvel Premier size. So as you can see, the Spider-Man one is a lot smaller. So if we compare it to Gotham Central, DC Compact, it is the exact same size as Gotham Central. And it's also, unlike Marvel Premier, which is $5 dearer, the same price point as DC Compact. So this is $9.99, this is $9.99. And it also has a good page count as well. There's about 320 pages. So it says here, it collects Amazing Spider-Man 555 to 557, 562 to 564, 574 to 576, 578, 579, and material from Amazing Spider-Man 577 and Amazing Spider-Man Extra number 2. A whole host of writers: Zeb Wells, Bob Gale, Mark Guggenheim, Dan Slott, Joe Kelly, and Mark Quaid, and illustrated by Chris Bacalo, Mike McCone, Paolo Siqueira, Barry Kitson, Paolo Rivera, and Marcus Martin. So it's a whole host of different teams on it. And it says Brand New Day wasn't just a story, it was an era. So Brand New Day covered a number of years. So what they've basically just done, they've cherry picked like some complete storylines from that time period. It says during a run spanning almost 3 years and over 100 issues that continues to influence the comics, TV series, video games, and films of today. Really? That's it. Marvel's most talented. Marvel, sometimes you need to undersell, not oversell. Marvel's most talented comics creators redefine Spider-Man for the 21st century. Spidey swings into action in stories ranging from heart-wrenching to pulse-pounding to darkly introspective. Wow. Including a team-up with Wolverine and a clash with the Punisher. Obviously, they're going to have the Punisher one in because he features heavily in the new film. He must solve the mystery of the other Spider-Man, brave the villain-filled bar with no name, survive a cross-city car chase with Overdrive, and summon all his strength when a shocking earthquake buries him and a subway car full of innocents. And as the mayoral election ramps up, Hammerhead works to bring all of the city's gangs under Mr. Negative's banner, or else. Plus follow Flash Thompson, Peter Parker's former nemesis, and Spider-Man's biggest fan through his tour of duty in the Middle East. So I remember this time period quite well because I used to get the UK collected edition of Spider-Man, and it covered this time period, and it was a fun time. Though I will say, in this size, unlike the DC compact ones, this is quite hard to read. The lettering seems really small. So Marvel at the time, they're very, very clustered in how they did the lettering, and that's, yeah, I'm going to struggle with this one. So that's the one downside. The only DC compacts I've had trouble with is the Arkham Asylum, and this is giving me the same level of headache, but the artwork is gorgeous. The paper stock, DC use a matte paper like the Marvel Premier, but for some reason this is on a glossy stock, like more like the IDW Classics compact range, which is fine. But it's not matte. I don't like matte paper. I don't like a shiny paper too much, to be honest. But I'm not complaining. I will say for $9.99, like the DC Compact, it's very good value for money, and it represents well. The trade dress is nice. I really do like that cover. I think that cover is really striking. They've cherry picked some of the really good creative scenes on it. I mean, Chris Bacalo is one of my favourite artists, and he does a really good dynamic Spider-Man. So he does that story. Then you can't mistake Mike McCone. he comes on here. So clones, looks like this is clones. Bob Gale, who is the creator of Back to the Future, he writes it. Mike McKone on pencils. So again, looks really good. Nice and clear and crisp. Oh dear. That's not Peter Parker, surely. He didn't have a ghost. That's not, no, it can't be. Is that Flash? It might be Flash, I don't know. It's been a long time since I've read anything from this era. So it'll be fun revisiting. It might jog my memory. This was, even though it was a long story out 3 years, it didn't feel as convoluted and as messy as current Spider-Man. You know, it felt like it had purpose and they had good teams. I mean, again, Mark Guggenheim, not a writer to be sneezed at. Barry Kitson, really good artist, especially with Mark Farmer on inks, who's an inking legend. So great creative teams. We're back to Joe Kelly writing, Chris Backlow. They did a long run together on various titles. Really nice. Beautiful, beautiful art. That's really dynamic. Very almost like Will Eisnerish with the lettering being embedded in the art. Why I'm going quiet because I'm just thinking, why can't Spider-Man be this good anymore? You know, or just do something and have 2 Spider-Man titles if you want to have a lot of Spider-Man. Instead of making it bi-weekly, have 2 titles and you can choose, like Batman does. You can choose, if you don't want to follow one, just follow the other one. But it was good. This is Marvel, maybe not the A game, but it's definitely a strong B+ game. Zeb Wells, before he got the flack, before he had editorial interference, so he was a good writer. Paolo Rivera, really solid, nice iteration of the Punisher. Again, really satisfactory. Cannot complain. Mark Waid and Marcus Martin. So all completely different teams, very different in styles, but they all managed to get different aspects of Spidey really well. Nice tip of the hat to classic Steve Ditko Spider-Man there. The Shocker. That's a really beautiful page there. So yeah, and finishing on some more Chris Bacalo cover art at the back. Weight-wise, this is a lot lighter because of the paper slot. This is quite a heavy book. It's not much lighter than the thicker Planet Hulk, but presentation-wise, I'd say that is far more eye-catching than Marvel Premier Editions. I am enjoying Premier Editions, but I don't treat them like a compact book. I treat them as like a no man's land kind of book where they're neither beast nor fowl. They're just their own thing. It was not something I recommend to somebody who wants to budget cut. And I have found, especially with Hawkeye, I read it, enjoyed it, but they left the story open-ended, really open-ended, and it left me really frustrated. Fortunately, I've seen that Panini have done the second volume in a completely different format, so I have to get it that way. So that's my biggest gripe with the Marvel Premier, is that some of them are complete and some of them are real botshit hatchet jobs. Fantastic Four's a hatchet job, Hawkeye is, but some that are complete, like Captain America, The Visions, Punisher, Old Man Wolverine up to a point. I just don't like Mark Miller. And the Daredevil one was really good. And this one I think is complete as well, or majority of it complete. So yeah, that's my biggest gripe with Marvel Premier. So I think this is what Marvel should have done from the beginning. This is the closest in spirit and idea to Gotham Central, I just keep saying the title, to DC Compacts. I hear that they are going to be doing some more, but Marvel have become like the new DC, whereas DC used to be really bad at telling you what they've got coming out, and sticking to the landing for bringing out runs of a new format of books. Marvel are now doing that, and then I don't know if they're scared that sales won't take off, and so I've heard rumors that there are going to be more in this format, but they've not really addressed what they're going to be. Are they just going to tie them into movies all the time or to TV series? I hope not. This is where DC Compacts beat out Marvel, including the Premier Editions. They're not just relying on the real heavy hitters. They're doing very varied titles like Gotham Central. It's about the police, not about Batman. They're making things really interesting. And if you're somebody who's more a manga reader than a comic reader, this will get your attention more because I'm a both. I read comics, I read manga, and with manga, variety is key. Variety is God, and that's what makes people try other titles. Not because they like very similar to another title, but because completely different. So that's the winning formula for the DC Compacts. That's why they do really well. But Marvel should have done this from the beginning. The problem with Marvel, which DC don't have, they don't really do comics that can be one and done or can be evergreens. You've got to know the whole 20 or 30 years back history, and that can be like a weight around your neck if you don't know it, so you can feel lost sometimes. But throw away the negatives. I'd love them to do more stuff like this. I'd love to say, for example, Jason Aaron's Doctor Strange run with Chris Batchelor on artwork. I'd love for them to maybe do Bendis's Avengers in this format and other things like that, where you don't need all the back history. They're like soft reboots. So yeah, very good value. Paper stock, I'm not too sure of, and I just don't know if it's going to do well, because I looked in my comic shop 3 weeks in a row, it wasn't in. The only place I've seen it in Manchester is in Waterstones, which is great. I love seeing graphic novels in bookshops. It was one copy and it was beat to fuck, so I didn't pick it up. So I had to get mine from the Bezos site, and I don't like supporting Jeff Bezos. So I had to eat humble pie. And I did buy it because, one, it's cheap enough to buy, and two, I am committed to highlighting all the different compact formats that are coming out, because I think it's a really good way to make you read more comics without breaking your comic buying budget. These are things that you can buy alongside your comics if you still want to get like weekly comics. I think they're the best idea that any comic company's had in years. Pardon me. And I'm glad that so many companies are jumping on board now. There's going to be some coming soon from Dynamite, which I'll review. Oni are also already doing the Rick and Morty and the Adventure Time ones. But they'll also be doing Archie soon and a few other titles. And there's other companies that are jumping on it. Boom are doing some as well soon. There's going to be Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and some other titles. And Image should also be bringing out more. Radiant Black coming out in the compact comic format as well. So do expect to see videos of those. But I enjoy doing this. It's become a little kind of a passion project of collecting all these compact comics. I like books. I like I like reading comics, and I love, one of my favorite things to unwind and just de-stress after a busy week when the weather's nice is to sit in the park, read a book for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and this is the perfect way of doing it. So I must will do this Saturday. Just dive through this, and I'm glad that they've got complete stories in this. So hope you enjoy that. And if you're thinking of trying compacts, these are a good way to go in. So, like I said, the GOAT will always be DC Combat. They had it nailed from the start. I'm warming to this, but for the same price and for better quality is the IDW collections, which I showed Lock and Key, Rocketeer, and Godzilla, which was a huge beast, nearly 700 pages for the same price. So again, Marvel are still dragging the feet for price points and quality, but at least they're trying, and hopefully they don't. They've not pushed this. There's been no advertisements for this anywhere. Ugh! Come on, Marvel. Pull your fingers out of your ass. So on that crude note, I shall say bye-bye.